we go. All right. Well, let me pull up my questions and then we can just jump right in. Um, there's Sierra. Sierra, can you introduce yourself and share about how you first discovered your love for fiber art?
Yes. So I am Sierra. I am so grateful to be here with you guys. Thank you for coming on. I know it's not maybe what you had signed up for initially if you were excited to meet Sarah, but I am a fiber artist, and I my big thing and why I'm so excited to join Art House is I just love collaborating with other artists as well. It feeds me as an artist, but it also just is so great to be a part of a community that is working to just make the world a better place with their art and empower people to do that. So for me, my art career, I have always been making things. Sorry, my studio is right next to my little daughter's room, so it's bedtime. You might hear some transitions in the background. Sweet little Gail, she's 2. I have 2 daughters.
That's
We
wonderful.
Yeah, we live in Dallas, in Oak Cliff is where I'm at. And I'm originally from Oregon. So I grew up, I think, as I've learned and relocated to Texas with a very different school education. It was very much empowered with the arts, which I am really grateful for. But I also had a lot of people in my life, in my circles, that were makers, professional pottery people, professional weavers, seamstresses. And I just didn't realize until I was much older that gift that had been given to me to just watch and be invited into people's workshops and learn these skills. And so I, from a very young age, was just really fascinated with like textiles, and started sewing, but really until 3 years ago, started doing it professionally, where I was like, let me just give this a shot. After COVID, I think a lot of us kind of had that funny mind shift where like things maybe we'd been holding back on, we decided to just give it a try. And I think that was maybe very true for me, having that time of reflection. And so I have just hit the ground running, and primarily sell my things at a few boutiques in Dallas wholesale, but I'm kind of moving away from that now, and I want to do more art festivals and a little bit more of the fine art scene.
Ta-da.
Beautiful.
Um, yeah, so I guess first off, just kind of if you want to like take us through kind of what these photos are and kind of what you're doing here, and then talk about what kind of work you enjoy making the most, and are there like particular themes that inspire you as you're creating?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I wanted to share here was, so for the past 2.5 years, I was actually a part of a studio at my church. There was a pottery studio in the basement of the facility that hadn't been used since the 60s. And my husband, who is a pastor, I kind of got a little bit more privilege, maybe because of that, his position, to get free reign, knowing that I was an artist and had artist friends. And so they wanted to bring this space back to life. It hadn't been touched for a long time after the predecessors had passed away. And so we were welcomed. Art has always been a part of my life, and I was doing like hangouts in the neighborhood with other artists for like breakfast and sketch, or just trying to be creative in other areas that weren't even my specialty, not even fiber arts. And we were invited in the studio, and we began what's called Robert Studio after the people who started it back in the day. And I taught monthly classes in the studio of various meetings. So here you can see we did like an oil painting, Bob Ross night. There's a scarf there that's a part of a natural silk dyeing, and then we're doing ceramics. And so just have been heavily involved in that, and teaching is just one of my passions, and connecting with artists. So, and then here is from one of my markets that I did in Bishop Arts. Just kind of the setup, and you can just kind of see everything together. I haven't done a formal
Mhm.
like gallery before, but I feel like that was my picture of, here's me. This is what it looks like.
Nice.
Beautiful. Mm.
Should I go to the next slide?
Sure, yeah, that's great.
Um, yeah, so questions about like, are there themes or ideas that like inspire you? And what kind of work do you really like enjoy making in the realm of fiber arts?
Yes. So I my primary things that I do are I sew, I screen print, and I've gotten into weaving in the last year. And so I make tapestries that are cut. I cut
Mm.
all of my designs out of felt, and then I kind of applique them on. So this is one of the processes here, where I'm pinning it and then top stitching. But I'm creating the designs from scratch. So even the canvas part. Nature is a huge inspiration. I love being outside, and I'm learning to appreciate my new geography down in the South. So spaghetti westerns were just always like my family time favorite. So this is a little bit of an homage to that with the cowboy and the scene of just him wandering in the desert and finding his way.
It's so cool.
And so this is my latest project. With the art studio, one of the classes that I was able to teach, well, a couple, I did macrame and then I did a weaving, like frame looms. I've done that for years just for fun, like passion projects, but I knew that I wanted after that class to do a loom, like a floor loom. And so for the past year, have been studying just on my own through research and library books and YouTube videos of how to dress a floor loom completely and how to weave on a floor loom. And I just finished the project this weekend, actually. I had about 20 feet of warp on the loom here. If you look at the picture on the left, a floor loom is how people originally would make fibers. So you can weave any type of thread, whether that be plant-based or like silk, to get different densities. And then you're slinging the reeds. So on the right, it's like a little boat shape with a bobbin inside, and you're creating the canvas. So this is my scarf. It's 20 feet, so I have to detach it, add the fringe, and tie up some loose ends. But I was really proud this weekend to like, it's holding together, and now I get to just I did a couple samples, so I'm going to attempt to like maybe make a few bags or other things out of it. I'm not sure yet what I'm going to do, but I know this is going to be definitely a part of my journey. I think for me, this project, seeing like the very beginning of something handmade, of knowing where my fibers had come from and the story and the journey to even get them to become a thread,
Mhm.
coming from either a cotton bush or coming from lamb, alpaca, the hair, and just that process, and seeing them intricately wind together and then being beaten down and strengthened together. There's just so much symbolism in that. And for me, at a time in my life where we're in a transition as a family, was just really impactful for the creation of this scarf. I know it's just a scarf, and to me, it's going to have a lot more meaning, but I'm excited to take that approach of what the actual process of something handmade like this, in the symbolism of the colors and the story that comes together.
So awesome.
How long did it
Beautiful.
take to make, how long did it take to make that scarf?
Yeah, so when you're dressing the loom itself, just getting the main string, it takes about 4 hours typically. And I actually joined a weavers guild in Dallas, and I met someone who came to my house and helped me get it all set up, because it is a mathematical calculation, and that's the trickiest part. And then once it's strung, like you could just sit down for 10-15 minutes, and that's what I did because I had a few markets in between. So I want to say that it probably took me, like after it was dressed, like maybe 6 hours, but it was like 2 months because I'm doing a little here and there.
Mm.
And
Wow.
very much learning still. I think if I maybe had a time like this weekend when I did the second scarf, it only took me probably 2.5 hours because I was in the zone with that rhythmic of like the right tension. I noticed that when I stopped and started, it took longer, which is true with any art, right? Like you're in
Yeah.
the zone, you can feel it just coming and flowing out of you much quicker.
Oh, absolutely. Do we ask questions now, or should we wait till the end? How we're doing it informal, or
You
I
can
want to
ask
make
questions
sure.
You can
now.
ask.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh, so sure. So how about your loom selection? Is there something unique for texture, or you're looking for organic? How does that go?
Yeah, well, I love for all of my art practices to try to really be sustainable with what I'm creating too. I want it to have a purpose and not just to be something that is like thrown away. And so I actually sourced from my guild. They have just this plethora of a storehouse, and so I went and chose leftovers. So all of this was sourced from other people who were just generous. But I tried to pick the more natural fibers. Some of this is hand dyed in the orange hues.
Mm.
There's a couple natural dyed scarves and naturally dyed, and some of them were mystery. We didn't even know what we were looking at. So I think most of it is wool and alpaca. And then I think a few of them were cotton. So it's a mix of plant and animal.
Oh, I love that. Beautiful.
Thank
The
you.
color combination is gorgeous too. Your cool and warm colors together. I love
Mhm.
that.
Thank you. Yeah, I loved the orange. And it was funny when I started in February, when I finished, it was 90 degrees. So it will have to wait till the fall. I'm a little sad about that. It's a little too warm.
Yeah. All right. Next question is, what are you currently working? Obviously, you just finished your scarf. What else are you
Mhm.
currently working on? And I know you like touched on techniques, and I think I see a few different techniques here. If you want to talk about like how you make your tapestries and bags and all the sorts of stuff that you do.
Sure, yeah. So these are some other things that I have. All the tote bag and the little mini canvas banner, I sell these wholesale at boutiques. The one on the right, that's the big tapestry, I just keep for my market. So as I mentioned, I'm in this transition phase. Some of a lot of the things that I make, I think maybe because of my mindset and I want to be sustainable, I want someone to have a product at the end of it. And I'm trying to teach my mind a little bit of there is worth, and how do you convey that to the people that are coming to learn about your art. Anyway, where I'm going with this is I wanted to figure out a way that someone could appreciate a quilted piece, which is the tote bag, but no, someone's not going to spend, necessarily at a boutique that has lots of handmade things, $200 for a quilt. And so, especially when I get part of that commission, and so half my proceeds are going to be taken away in a wholesale setting. So I decided, well, I can make a tote bag, or I can source one. This is a sustainably made tote bag that somebody else creates. And so I purchased that from them. And then I made a little quilted square and then applique that on to make a pocket. So it feels like a piece of my artwork, but it's not, an extension of a huge quilt. So trying to figure out how to get that to people at all levels. And that's something that I'm really passionate about as well, is getting art or my art accessible to everyone, not just someone that can pay a lot of money for something. I love quilting. It has been a part of my history. And just creating the shapes to be a little bit more contemporary. I think sometimes it can be very old lady-ish. And I appreciate that, but for me, color, bringing that hope and that pop and that happiness to people. And so a lot of my works have a lot of vibrant colors together, a little rainbowy. So that's what that pocket has. The little banners that I do are just, I screen print. And so I try to combine little phrases from books that I'm reading or poetry and pick a phrase that is meaningful to me, and just imagine that being hung up in someone's office. And that's a really easy thing to sell wholesale, because screen printing, you can do a lot of those. And then we already talked about the little cowboy guy. I also have some that are like butterfly and cone flowers, just that imagery of, I love butterflies and the transformation that they have with the different meanings of, where they started and what they're becoming, and just the beautifulness that they have with their fluttering through nature. So I have another one that is like the cowboy that is in that.
Mhm. Yeah. I love the tote bag and geometric shapes on it, because it could be a landscape, and it's just because I'm a painter, so it's just broad brushstrokes. You see what I'm saying? So it can be interpreted any way, and it's modernized because of the color you've chosen, and even because of the shapes that you've chosen. So that made it very modern. I love that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So,
I would love, that's one thing, Anna asked about like what projects I have. I would love to do more of like a landscape piece. And you can do that with quilting and just piece them all together. And I've attempted a few and have not been happy with them. So I still need to go back, but it's on my list of project to-dos.
mhm.
Nice. Here's some more. How do you see your work evolving, and what are you hoping to explore in the future?
Yeah, so I think for me, it's figuring out how my work can bring a little bit more of my story, a little bit more narrative. I think in the last year, I've seen myself grow as I've met people at markets to share more of my vision and my stories. And I think as I get more creative with these little or medium-sized banners, this is the cowgirl bouquet. I love cowboy boots now. I found that I understand the story behind them, that they're so versatile with being a good sturdy work boot or going out to the dance floor, and different wildflowers that have so much significance in the ways that they can be utilized through art or like on a flag, or even themed in schools. So just bringing those all together and like the meaning behind it, and I'm trying to incorporate that more in the pieces that I create. I think weaving is going to be a big thing for me, and so I'm excited to bring more of that handmade, because obviously I have to source the dowels, and I'm good into spinning, but I don't think I have quite time for that yet, to spin my own yarn. But I think for me, I realized that part of my story is just going to be helping people understand the truly handmade aspect of the art that I'm creating.
Nice. Is there any artist or particular artistic style that inspires your work?
Yes. I love to check out library books. I feel like it's just such a good learning thing. And so I will go and I'll find just different artists in the public library. I love to go downtown to like the 6th floor and see all of the art books that they have for big coffee tables and things like that. And this is where I'll find a lot of the artists that then I'll follow in real life on Instagram or other social media platforms, and see what they're doing or what galleries they get to go into. And so 2 that I'm following right now that I just found in magazines are called Emily Van Hoff, and she is really pushing the boundaries with quilting and sewing. And she lives in Chicago, and her work is very colorful like mine, which I think is why I was drawn to her. But she does a lot of this abstract contemporary quilting, and she's stretching her fabric that she's quilted, her quilting block, and she's putting them on canvases, but she's also playing with like creating big pillows out of quilts that are for like a structural piece. And so it's just very cool. I have not seen anything like it. She's one to look up. And then the other one is from Toronto. She is called Oranu Nori, I think is her last name. She's I think originally immigrated from Japan. And so her work is a weaver, and she is just phenomenal, the type of pieces that she's doing. So, and all hand dyed and just very pretty. And from her ancestry too, a lot of it comes from just Japanese technique of just very intricate black and white and blue and indigo dyes. And so that is just very pretty as well.
Nice.
That's beautiful. I shared Claudie Jonkster, I think that's how you pronounce her name, in the chat. She's a Dutch artist. She's a textile designer as well.
Okay.
I think you may enjoy her work a lot, because she is all about sustainability. She colors her own. She has her own sheep, where she gets the fabric, the wool from there, and she has her own meadow of flowers, where she uses the flowers to dye as well her own wool. And if you see her work, there's just almost abstract expressionism of landscape, stunning. I think you may enjoy her. I'd love to see what you think about her work. Her name is in the chat.
Thank you. I will definitely look
Yeah,
her up. I'll add the
absolutely.
tutu.
Yeah. So I think that pretty much closed out Sierra's portion. Anybody have any questions for her before we move on? No? Cool.
No.
All right. I'm gonna see if I can figure out how to stop this recording. There we go.